So, the matter of El-Rufai and Ribadu and presidency, I've watched a number of interviews, and it's now that I really understand what's going on. If you want to understand what is going on, watch the interview by Akin Osuntokun. The interview that he granted, hosted by Shas and Yagolu. Watch that interview.
When did the political rupture between El-Rufai and Ribadu occur?
Okay.
Was that because I understand there was Bola Tinubu had something to do with it.
Yes. That was how I was making reference to Umaru.
Right.
But Umaru didn't want us near him. I mean, he wasn't well disposed towards us, especially towards El-Rufai, and so that bridge,
right,
destabilized the group, so to say, and then metamorphosed it. I mean, it went on to become some kind of victimizing, witch hunting, Nu and El-Rufai. So they had to leave the country and go on exile. But so that, I don't want to use the word backfire, but it led to a rise in their political profile. Both of them. Because of the way they were treated and
Yes. So I remember some of that because there were a lot of probes and things.
Exactly.
Against them. Yeah.
So Bola Tinubu then, he was a kingmaker. He had left as governor of Lagos State in 2007. He wanted to support or sponsor somebody since it was viewed as a turn of the North. He wanted to support a member of the younger generation from the North, whom he could support, put his own Southwest support behind.
Right.
And then so he did a public opinion survey. Nobody knew, did it? I'm sure everybody didn't know. So the result of the opinion clearly favored Ribadu. The opinion for Nu got 45%, El-Rufai 7%, and so on and so forth. So it was on that basis that Tinubu reached out for Nu and adopted him as a candidate.
Yes, he became the presidential candidate of that the ACN.
Exactly, but I think that was when the bad blood set in, with Nasiru, that the rating kind of elevating Nu above him. And I think he never really got out of that disappointment.
Right. But then he subsequently became governor of Kaduna State and all the rest of it. I mean, 2-term governor. I mean, surely that would have sated whatever,
it didn't get right.
Ego there was, their bruised ego.
No, it didn't get right. And of course, if you compare the two of them, he had an upper hand by becoming the governor of Kaduna State for 8 years, while Nu was languishing in political wilderness, so to say. And then 2023 came, Nu solidified his relationship with Tinubu. He had become his confidant, all through that period. Of course, when Nasiru was governor. You remember the saga of the ministerial nomination.
Yes.
Tinubu had already appointed Nu as NSA, which was a very powerful position, and then El-Rufai thought he was going to be made minister, and he would have become a powerful minister, and then something happened.
Yeah.
And I think that was a stroke.
And El-Rufai basically felt that Mr. Ribadu had something to do with it.
Yeah. He then began having what, to me, seemed like an obsession.
Right.
With Ribadu, almost every time finding a way to link him with whatever problems that he had.
You understand what's happening between El-Rufai and Ribadu and Tinubu. You understand if you watch that interview. So enlightening, somebody who has worked with Ribadu and El-Rufai worked closely together before. And so he understands them, understand what has taken place. And these things, if you understand some of the history behind some of these things, then you understand what is going on now. I know that this thing is more of personal beef, personal beef for people who were best of friends, people who were very close, with close family ties and all that, then now became bitter rivals, and this is personal, that is spilling into national security issues and you know and political issues and stuff like that. you know so if you watch that interview yesterday, chance I watched it yesterday. I think it was done day before yesterday or yesterday or so. But the Arise News anchor, Charles Aniagolu, very brilliant anchor, he interviewed Akin Osuntokun. Osuntokun was the DG, Director General of Labour Party Presidential Campaign Council, when the late Dr. Okukpe, Dr. Doyin Okukpe, when he was convicted, or the court said he did something and he couldn't continue as the DG of the Peter Obi's campaign. Akin Osuntokun was brought in, now became the DG, through to the elections and subsequently before he stepped down. But in the past, Akin Osuntokun was political advisor to Obasanjo. When Obasanjo was president between 1999 to 2007, he was political advisor. So Obasanjo left 2007. So before that 2007, so this is around 2006 now. Obasanjo, 2006, 2007, Obasanjo knew that he was going, right? And there's this talk of third term, but that was not the subject of this conversation now. But at the point, Obasanjo knew he was going, right? So they now set up a caucus. If you listen to the interview, Akin Osuntokun said they set up a 9-member caucus, headed by the Attorney General at that time. That you have an Attorney General, Bayo Ojo, was the Attorney General at that time. They headed a caucus. That 9-member caucus had Nuhu Ribadu. He was EFCC chairman then. Had El-Rufai. He was the Federal Capital Territory Minister, then. Also had Akin Osuntokun as part of that caucus. Now, the task of that caucus was to look for a viable candidate that will replace Obasanjo. Obasanjo was already done 8 years. So the next person to come from the north, Obasanjo is from the south. So the caucus was tasked with looking for someone from the north who could replace Obasanjo. That was the purpose of that caucus. That had Ribadu, had El-Rufai, had Osuntokun. Now, they were to select from 3 pools of people. You have the governor's pool, the minister's pool, and another pool of candidates. Now, from the minister's pool, Akin Osuntokun said Obasanjo liked the Minister of Agric at the time, Adamu Bello. I liked him for the job. Now, for the governors group, that the governors caucus, governors group, they are very powerful. The governors forum, governors group, they are always powerful, right? And so This governors group were putting pressure on Obasanjo that Obasanjo should pick somebody from them. And Obasanjo needed the support of the governors in order for him to be able to pick a successor that he liked. So Obasanjo was feeling the pressure, and Obasanjo was now looking more at picking a governor, right? And that's how he picked Umaru Musa Yaradua. Now, the caucus group that Obasanjo formed, Akin Osuntokun said that at the point Obasanjo was avoiding meeting with the caucus because he already knew what the caucus would do. So the caucus group now picked somebody from among themselves, which is really something, right? Because the caucus group was supposed to pick somebody that would succeed Obasanjo, and the caucus group picked somebody from among themselves. Although there is a minister, apart from the, as I was saying, apart from the governors group, there was a ministers pool. Okay, I've mentioned Adamu Bello, that's someone that Obasanjo wanted, right? Then the FCT minister El-Rufai is of that minister's pool, So the caucus group, headed by Bayo Ojo, the Attorney General, they now met and they agreed that they will pitch El-Rufai as the person they chose to Obasanjo. So they pitched El-Rufai to him, and the members of the caucus, they all agreed on El-Rufai. Ribadu agreed on El-Rufai. Everybody agreed that, let's pitch El-Rufai. So they pitched El-Rufai to Obasanjo. Obasanjo said no. While they are trying to make their case, Obasanjo says, see, I know El-Rufai more than you people. And there are things he knows about El-Rufai that they didn't know. And so Obasanjo said no, he's not going to pick El-Rufai. And since the governors group, they were really making a lot of effort, a lot of push. So, and Obasanjo is close to the Yaradua's family, because Obasanjo had worked with Yaradua's elder brother, So, Shehu Musa Yaradua. He has worked closely with Yaradua during the military era after he took over with the unfortunate demise of Murtala Mohammed. And so Obasanjo has been close to the Yaraduas, and he said that when Obasanjo started running in 1999, 1998, 1999, that Umaru then was governor of Katsina. Umaru was one of the first to say he would, one of the first to declare for Obasanjo, that he readily supported Obasanjo and told Obasanjo, let's start from here, that you make sure that Obasanjo wins in Katsina State, right? So there was this thing about, he knew the other brother, they were close, and he just felt, and what Akin Osuntokun said, that Umaru Musa Yaradua was relatively more credible. He had integrity, was somebody who was disciplined, somebody who is sociable, somebody who is intelligent, educated, had close family ties with Obasanjo and all that. So he ticks so many boxes, and he's a governor, he's a governor. So he's of the governor's pool, of governor's forum, So if the governors see that he has picked one of their own, the governors will want to support that. So that was how Obasanjo picked Umaru Musa Yaradua instead of El-Rufai. The caucus group that Obasanjo set up to pick a successor pitched the idea of El-Rufai. Obasanjo said no. He now picked Umaru Musa Yaradua.